A proof of study or graduation from an institution, certificates are vital, not just for employment, but for further studies, and an item that confers prestige on a person's status, depending on level of knowledge acquired. With changing trends, however, it will appear that value on certificates is reducing, not because there are alternatives to earning, but due to half-hearted attitudes of those on whom the certificates are conferred. Either at basic, secondary or tertiary education levels, institutions deal with packs of unclaimed certificates years post-graduation. And our correspondents from across the country have been investigating to know why this is so. I'm Omotola Omojola. This is Dateline 360. Thanks for tuning in. The quest for knowledge is at the core of educational pursuit, and this sees fulfillment in the conferment of certificates after graduation. With new thinking of combining craft skills to personal development, the dynamics is changing, particularly post-graduation. Looking at the new trend of nonchalance to certificate collection, Priscilla Grumnan in Jos investigates how having a double-edged sword impacts employment.
Education as the bedrock of society plays a vital role in one's life, offering benefits that can shape the future and contribute significantly to the socio-economic development of the society. Education leads to personal growth and development, as an educated person is open to critical thinking and also develop problem-solving skills, translating to economic stability and social progress. However, with the scarcity in white-collar jobs, people are turning to craftsmanship as a means of survival and empowerment. But amidst this development, we seek to find out if people choose to study or to take up craftsmanship.
Some people are driven by white-collar jobs of late. That's why, and they are obsessed with going out with to get it for greener pastures.
I would prefer to go to school because I want to, at the end, if I get that job, what will I want to become? I want to sit down in an office, work, attend to people.
What do they hope to achieve after obtaining certificates?
The basic aim of it is to have a white-collar job, but now the case is the reverse. You will see a graduate with first class, 2-1, they are all of us back to the classroom. So that tells you that the basic skills is very, very important, because without the basic skills, the jobs are not even there available for us. So I advise that even as we aim to study, there is need for you to engage yourself in doing 1 or 2 businesses that will help you.
For those in the private sector, more priority should be placed on competence, skills and productivity rather than on certificates.
I'm more for craftsmanship. We're more tending towards productivity, towards skills, towards competence. That is where we're tending towards, because those things about certificates can always be gotten afterwards.
For people like us who are in the private sector consultants, we place more premium on your ability to do the job hands-on. Yes, you may not have the certificate that qualifies to do that, but you are getting the result by your hand on the job. What we usually encourage is, since you have the skill and you can do it, why not just get the certificate to back it up? Because when the chips are down, promotions and recommendations are based on the documents available.
They are also of the view that although education is important, but the mixture of theoretical knowledge and deployment of talent and skills, as well as training, are vital to securing employment.
The place of talent is also important. So there's a difference between talent and skills in this context. While I'm going for that person that has certificate, I also look out for the required skilled.
The guy who is my graphic designer and printer, he studied mathematics from the university, first degree. In fact, he read mathematics education. But he handles all my printing because whilst he was in school, the person sponsoring him was doing printing. So he learned printing. So if 2 printers present themselves, I will take him that is a printer hands-on, though a B.Ed mathematics than somebody who has degree in printing who does not have the experience.
How can this position affect fresh graduates who are seeking employment?
When you have 1 month, 2 months, 3 months holidays, you can go for apprenticeship, or you can just go for a non-paying job that you could just have on your CV that you've worked somewhere. It's always an advantage where you've worked somewhere.
Whether education is better than craftsmanship depends on individual goals, interests, and circumstances, as both have unique values and benefits. Respondents say both education and craftsmanship are valuable and can complement each other. For them, a balanced approach that combines the two can lead to a successful career and a fulfilling life. For Dateline 360, Priscilla Grumnan.
The first school living certificate, once a vital credential in the educational journey of Nigerian pupils, crammed school storerooms unclaimed by parents or poorly archived by school authorities. With the introduction of the Basic Education Certificate Examination (BECE), administered at the end of junior secondary schools, the educational system has shifted its emphasis from primary school completion to junior secondary school graduation. How does this affect certificate collection? Angaju Anagawa reports.
For many students in Nigeria, graduation day is marked not by the joy of receiving a certificate, but a long wait and sometimes a costly process to obtain what should have been handed over on that very day. Instead of proudly holding their certificates, many leave with only a testimonial in hand. While the federal and state ministries of education are officially responsible for issuing certificates for basic education, the actual distribution is often delegated to school administrators, where in many cases, students and parents are required to pay processing fees before these certificates are released. Before, at the primary school level, the first school leaving certificate was frequently overlooked, as many parents and employers who do not value the document which forms the foundation of a child's academic identity.
First school leaving certificates are issued as soon as or upon the completion of the primary school, that is as soon as they finish their third term examination. The certificates are usually ready here. I don't know of other schools.
For secondary school graduates, testimonials are typically issued on the graduation day, while certificates from the West African Examination Council (WAEC) and the National Examination Council (NECO) are not immediately available.
The student is graduating, that is during the graduation ceremony, that is the same day we issue out testimonials. So what we call them out to give as a sign of graduation is the testimonial. Then for the certificate, it is after, previously it was after 3 years, but now after a few months of graduation, there is improvement in the system. The certificates do come.
Although digital access to these certificates is now possible, it often comes at a given price before collection.
There is a fee attached to every certificate, but it doesn't cause any delay.
It is a mandate of the students. It's very, very mandatory at the end of SS3 for the students to obtain both examination, not one. Taking examination in WAEC and NECO to qualify them to get admission into tertiary institutions. So these are the two, and the state government is there actively paying attention, giving them the concern to write the examination by paying some percentage by the state government.
Efforts are currently on the way to digitize educational records in Nigeria. Hence, the Borno State Ministry of Education is working to integrate the education management information systems, a move aimed at streamlining documentation and expediting the release of student records in line with the global best practices.
The His Excellency have tried and is trying. Our Honorable Commissioner, who is also a digital in the educational line, is now exerting more effort in ensuring to see that all schools were operating digitally.
Job market, employers and institutions will require a minimum of basic education certificate examination for verification, which brings a significant improvement in the education sector. These new systemic reforms will improve documentation and data management that would make for easy certificate collection, while the junior secondary school will be the new minimum requirement for basic education.
It's very relevant because I find people coming for it, especially when they are to attend interviews. They come asking for first school living certificates.
So when the certificate is out, some people come after even their studies in the university, when they are going for their youth service, that's NYSC. But some do come even before that time for the certificate. But they do come at will.
Job market, employers and institutions will require a minimum of basic education certificate examination for verification, which brings a significant improvement in the education sector. These new systemic reforms will improve documentation and data management that would make for easy certificate collection, while the junior secondary school will be the new minimum requirement for basic education.
Experts suggest that these reforms by the Ministry of Education would mandate public and private schools to issue the basic education certification examination for junior secondary schools and enforce the digital verification of student records through a central database. In Maiduguri, Angarju, Anagawa.
In our next report, Tayo Osho also looks at the relevance of the primary school leaving certificate and that of secondary school external examinations.
Primary school leaving certificate serves as proof that an individual has acquired the first level of academic training in Nigeria, which used to be treated with utmost importance several years ago, basically because it could be used to seek employment with the government and other employers of labor. However, with the prominence and accessibility to tertiary education, primary school leaving certificate has been reduced to just a proof of the foundational level of education, which explains why some people don't see it as relevant as other academic certificates.
Make a full record of this certificate because we know it is very, very important. I could remember when I was looking for my own. It took a long way before I could get it because of what happened then.
The primary certificate is as important as the certificate we obtain from the university. Because irrespective of anywhere you are seeking employment to, the employers, they need it to at least justify your age.
In Ekiti State, the state government, in a bid to ensure parents and pupils collect their primary school certificates, it has become a criteria to register and write the junior secondary school certificate examination, while government and other employers of labor have also mandated the submission of primary school leaving certificates during documentation and for verification purposes, which has left many rushing back to their primary schools to collect their certificates.
As a registered school in Ekiti, before your child can register for GSS3, he or she must have collected his or her primary 6 certificate before they will allow us to register. Likewise, a child that will register for WAEC in Ekiti and maybe Unified 2 must have the GSS3 certificate. So I think that one has really made the students to come to collect their result.
The situation is similar as regards the senior secondary school certificates, as many students only retrieve their certificates from schools when there is a demand for it. Although school administrators commend examination bodies for improvement in the waiting period before the certificates are made available, they are of the opinion that if they are mandated for admission into tertiary schools, examination bodies will further fast-track the process, while students will be left with no option than to retrieve them early.
Since most of our universities, polytechnics and colleges of education, they allow them to use statement of results, I think that is the reason why some of them don't come. But when it is time for, when they are about graduating, time for clearance, maybe they want to go for service, youth service, that is when most of them, you see them coming, because that time they will need the original certificate for all those things.
It might be affected by termite or rain. You know, all this rainfall, something, if the roof is being removed, there's nothing we can do. You know, that is why it is very, very important for parents. Immediately the certificate is out, they should come to that school and collect them, keep for their children.
It is believed that prompt release of certificates will be a plus for the country's educational sector towards achieving global best practices.
It is a common saying that education is important. However, the only proof of one's level of education remains the certificate. The consensus of respondents is that every educational certificate should be treated as important because no one knows exactly when there will be a need for it. In Advert, I am Tayo Osho for Dateline 360.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on. Malaria gone.
Now let's go to tertiary level. The issue of certificate collection has over the years remained a challenge to graduates from various institutions of higher learning. Emmanuel Lene in Port Harcourt reports that for some, the collection only becomes necessary when seeking job opportunities, while for others, the difficulties involved in getting it from the schools serve as a major discouragement.
Nigeria is blessed with millions of university graduates, many of whom are in the labor market in search of white-collar jobs years after graduation.
This category of graduates do not seem to have anything to do with their certificates many years after graduation. There are those who have graduated for years, have jobs, but the process of collection of certificates appears to be tedious and strenuous in their various universities, especially for those who schooled outside their state or region.
I graduated from University of Calabar as a theatre and media studies student in the year 2013 to 2014. As I'm talking to you now, I've not been able to have a job. Now, look at it from this perspective. People don't care anymore about certificate. My certificate has been in my wardrobe for the past 10 years, going to 11 years now.
For that point in time, they don't have anything to do with that certificate. Maybe they will be looking for maybe some skill that they acquire while in school. So they will be doing, but once that opportunity comes to use that certificate, you will see them coming back to start to running around to get their certificate.
An average Nigerian will not go back to the school. The only two things that made them to come back, if they want to go for further studies, or suddenly there's a request at their place of work. Otherwise, when they conclude school, nothing. It's just personal. That's just an average. I'm giving you an average. When I say average Nigerian, I've been in the university system for over 10 years, so I understand what I'm saying.
Certificate is a mark of accomplishment, recognition, and credibility. Employers and partners use these certificates to make informed decisions.
But in a society where connection and various forms of job racketeering take precedence over merit and credibility, many do not see the need for their certificates.
Because of their conviction that it will not help them to have work immediately.
Most of them may not have the resources to come back to do the clearance, the series of clearance. Some of them may be owing school fees that they don't have the resources to pay for.
A lot of graduates are coming out of school each and every year that passes. There are no jobs for these graduates. Now tell me, if you go to school and you come out of every 4 years without having a job, what will motivate you to go back to get your certificate?
School authorities have attributed inability of the students to pay their fees as at when due unnecessary charges by university authorities, and strenuous processes as reasons certificates linger in the universities.
Some people who graduated from this part of the country probably graduated and left this environment and relocated to a very faraway place, which due to logistic challenges, they were unable to come around to collect their certificate. Then another factor is due to perception. Some graduates do not see the immediate need for their physical certificate, especially when they have already secured employment or admission based on the statement of result they already had. And I also want to say that some of the employers are also contributing to this, because when you are employing someone, you should be able to ask of the original certificate. But when they present statement of results, most of these employers just accept them.
University graduates and stakeholders are calling on government to provide the necessary jobs to justify university education, while universities should devise easier and simpler processes for obtaining certificates immediately after graduation, as it further boosts the credibility of university education. In Port Harcourt, Emmanuel Lene for Dateline 360.
And in Kaduna, Achari Maxwell reports that unlike the past, when graduates were eager to collect their certificate as a testament that they are truly products of their alma mater, some never returned to the institutions for their original certificates, leaving the school with chunks of uncollected certificates for storage.
Certificates are official documents attesting to the fact that the owner has attended the said institution and are supposed to be collected shortly after graduating from the school. Many graduates return to their schools for their original certificates, while others never cared to.
I have my primary school certificate, my ND, HND, PGD, Masters, all I have.
Personally, I have my primary school certificate, I have my secondary school certificate, I have my first degree certificate, I have my second degree certificate.
It was not difficult. Since I've done my clearance, so it was easy for me accessing my certificate.
A lot of people can be faulted in that regard, as many graduates hardly go back for it, just like Mario.
I didn't see the need of collecting the result, because if I collect the result won't put food on my table. It won't give me money in my account. So there are other things I need to do, and I got to understand that after school, what really needs to give me the money is not even the certificate.
When I went to get my own, some like almost 50 to 20 years, they are just coming to get it now.
It is important for everyone who has gone through school to go back to his school and correct his or her original certificate and make it handy. Critical stakeholders in the education sector raises concern and attribute it to nonchalant attitude.
Employers sometimes accept a temporary certificate or statement of result. They do not insist on the original results. If they do, I believe then everybody must come and collect. The best practice globally is that as you are graduating, as you are convocating, you should collect your results.
In my time, nobody urged us to go and collect our certificate. We felt it was a duty. We needed to collect our certificates as quickly as possible. It's your property, it's something you are proud of, it's something you cherish. I want to make sure that it is in your custody. So we didn't need anybody to push us to do that. And I think it shouldn't take long, really. And one of the things the schools should do is, why don't they put up some little publicity?
If you schooled 10 years ago, maybe you are not able to pay your school fees that time, and therefore you didn't collect your certificate. What of now? It's just that government should make a policy to say everybody should show evidence of all the certificates, all the schools that he attended.
Mohammed Tanimu is the registrar at Kaduna Polytechnic. He says strategies adopted by the management is effective and efficient.
And the management now thought it very well and come up with a solution, partly solution, to put a caveat on the statement of result that this statement is for 1 year only. So that statement makes a lot of impact, because so many of them normally comes back because they will say, their statement has expired, since it's valid for only 1 year.
Collection of certificate at Kaduna Polytechnic is now seamless within the shortest possible time at minimal cost. It is also very important for the government to come up with a policy that would make it mandatory for everyone who has finished school to present his or her original certificate at the point of entry. Achari Maxwell, Dateline 360.
Please don't be caught napping. Do all you can to ensure that you collect your certificates. You have earned it. It is your right. We also take this time to appeal to institutions and concerned examination bodies to make these documents available in good time. On behalf of the production crew, I thank you for your company the last half hour. Please keep a date with us next week for another edition of the program. I'm Omotola Omojola. God bless Nigeria.